Factories are shutting down, the supply chain is in chaos, and car prices are skyrocketing beyond anything we have ever seen before. This is not some far-off dystopian future. It is happening right now. President Donald Trump has just pulled the biggest economic lever in modern history, and the auto industry may never recover. In this video, we are breaking down the full impact of Trump's latest policy, one that could change the way you buy, sell, and even afford a car in the near future. For decades, companies like Toyota, Ford, and General Motors have balanced domestic production with international partnerships to keep costs low and innovation high. But with one sweeping mandate, that balance has been shattered. Stick with me to the end, because this is not just another economic headline. This affects every car buyer, every worker, and every investor. Will this decision lead to a manufacturing boom, bringing back thousands of jobs? Or will it spell disaster, making new cars unaffordable for the average American? America first or industry collapse? The economic gamble. There is a growing sentiment that everything must be built in the United States, including cars. Every car sold in the country must now be built on American soil. And the fallout? Billions of dollars at stake. Trade alliances crumbling, and automakers scrambling for survival. The logic behind this policy aligns with the broader America First initiative, a philosophy centered on economic nationalism. Supporters argue that this mandate will reinvigorate American manufacturing, create jobs, and reduce reliance on foreign economies. A fully domestic automotive industry, they claim, would mean greater control over production, fewer vulnerabilities to international market fluctuations, and a more resilient economy. However, the reality of such a transition is far more complicated. The modern automobile is a product of an intricate global supply chain. Critical components such as semiconductors, lithium-ion batteries, and specialized alloys are predominantly manufactured overseas. Replicating these production capabilities domestically will require billions of dollars in investment, years of infrastructure development, and an extensive workforce trained in advanced manufacturing techniques. The financial burden does not fall solely on automakers. The costs of relocating factories, establishing new supplier networks, and meeting regulatory requirements could translate into significantly higher car prices for consumers. Without substantial government subsidies or incentives, manufacturers will be forced to pass these costs along, making vehicle ownership less affordable for millions of Americans. For businesses, the shift poses serious operational risks. Companies that fail to adapt quickly enough could face supply shortages, factory shutdowns, and declining revenue. Meanwhile, foreign automakers must decide whether to build new factories in the United States or risk losing access to one of the world's largest car markets. The long-term success of this policy hinges on whether the government can mitigate these economic shocks while maintaining stability in the industry. And the thing is, America now has to also think about how or whether other countries will retaliate, forcing the United States into an all-out economic war. The answers to these questions will determine the future of the American auto industry and your role in it. The future of buying cars and the price shock. With domestic production mandates in place, the cost of manufacturing vehicles is set to rise significantly. This price surge will be felt across all levels of the market, from economy sedans to luxury models. Consumers accustomed to affordable vehicles may find themselves priced out of the market, leading to shifts in buying behavior and alternative ownership models. One of the most immediate concerns is the strain on supply chains. Automakers currently depend on cost-effective parts sourced from across the globe. If forced to manufacture everything domestically, shortages of essential components could delay production and further inflate prices. Steel, aluminum, electronic chips, and rare minerals crucial for electric vehicles are currently imported at lower costs. Replicating these supply chains in the United States would take years and require extensive investment. The affordability crisis will extend beyond new vehicles. The rising cost of new cars will inevitably push more buyers toward the used car market, driving up demand and inflating prices in that sector as well. Leasing, long a popular alternative for budget-conscious consumers, may become less viable if production costs continue to climb. Car-sharing services and subscription-based vehicle access could see an uptick as consumers look for alternatives to traditional ownership. While the shift to domestic production aligns with economic nationalism, the unintended consequence may be limiting consumer choice. The market could see a reduction in available models, as automakers prioritize only their most profitable lines. Foreign brands with limited American manufacturing presence might withdraw from the market entirely, reducing competition and further exacerbating price increases. As costs rise across the board, buyers may need to rethink their approach to vehicle ownership, favoring longevity and reliability over frequent upgrades. But what about the dealerships? Are car dealerships doomed? The ramifications of this policy extend far beyond manufacturers and consumers. Car dealerships, already facing increasing pressure from evolving consumer habits, could be among the biggest casualties of this shift. If foreign brands withdraw or scale down their U.S. operations, dealerships tied to those automakers will struggle to maintain inventory and profitability. Even domestic brands, grappling with supply chain issues and higher costs, may reduce dealership allocations, leading to fewer cars available for sale. In response, some dealerships may pivot toward alternative revenue streams. Subscription-based vehicle models, which allow customers to pay a monthly fee for access to a range of vehicles, could become more prevalent. Similarly, used car sales and certified pre-owned programs may see a surge in popularity as consumers seek more affordable options. However, these strategies may not be enough to offset the challenges posed by restricted new car availability. Additionally, the policy could accelerate a shift toward direct-to-consumer sales. Tesla has already pioneered this model, bypassing traditional dealership networks in favor of online sales and manufacturer-owned stores. If other automakers follow suit, dealerships could see their role diminished, with fewer buyers visiting showrooms and more transactions taking place entirely online. The transition period will be turbulent. Some dealerships may adapt and find ways to survive, while others may be forced to close. The automotive retail landscape is shifting rapidly, and this policy change may only expedite the trend away from traditional dealerships toward a more digital and streamlined sales process. As the dust settles on this monumental policy shift, one thing remains clear: the industry is undergoing one of the most radical transformations in its history. What was once a globally interconnected market is now being restructured into a domestically focused enterprise. The full impact of this decision remains uncertain, but the early signs suggest an era of rising costs, shifting business models, and a redefined approach to automobile manufacturing and sales in the United States. But these things are minor compared to what's to come. The trade war nobody saw coming: Mexico, Canada, and China. The United States has long relied on a tightly woven network of trade agreements that support its automotive industry. But now that foundation is under threat, with the mandate that every vehicle sold in the country must be manufactured domestically. Trading partners such as Mexico, Canada, and China have been thrust into a diplomatic and economic battle that no one saw coming. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, originally designed to promote smooth trade across North America, is now facing an existential crisis. Mexico and Canada have invested billions of dollars in factories and supply chains that are deeply integrated with American automakers. The abrupt shift in policy leaves them scrambling to protect their economic interests. Some experts warn that Mexico, which serves as a production hub for parts and assembly, may impose retaliatory measures, making it even harder for American automakers to access necessary components. Canada, on the other hand, is exploring the possibility of imposing tariffs or adjusting its own trade policies to counteract the shift. China, which has been a dominant supplier of raw materials and parts, is also poised to retaliate. The possibility of Beijing restricting access to critical components, such as semiconductors and batteries, is a major concern for American manufacturers. The automotive sector relies heavily on China for these parts, and cutting off that supply could cause production slowdowns, price increases, and logistical nightmares. Europe and Japan, two major players in the global automotive market, are closely monitoring these developments. If American policies create excessive barriers to foreign imports, European and Japanese automakers may respond with tariffs on American-made vehicles, making it even more difficult for American automakers to compete globally. While this policy is designed to strengthen domestic production, it may ultimately create new economic conflicts that ripple through the global economy. American automakers versus the world. Who will survive? The battle lines have been drawn, and American automakers are now caught between government mandates and the harsh realities of international business. While some companies may see an opportunity to reclaim domestic manufacturing dominance, others are being forced to rethink their entire production strategy to survive. Automakers are scrambling to make critical adjustments, Those with existing American-based factories may have an advantage, but others that rely on global supply chains are at a disadvantage. Moving production entirely to the United States requires massive investment, and some companies simply may not have the capital to do so. The result, some foreign automakers could exit the American market entirely, shifting their focus to regions where they can operate with fewer restrictions. The American government may need to intervene to prevent a complete collapse of the industry. Bailouts and subsidies could become a necessity as automakers struggle to transition. However, these financial lifelines come with their own challenges. While the government might help ease the cost of reshoring production, taxpayers will ultimately bear the financial burden. In the past, bailouts have been controversial, and the idea of spending billions of dollars to save automakers will likely spark fierce political debate. Meanwhile, American automakers are facing another, even bigger challenge: the future of electric vehicles. As they race to comply with new regulations, they must also navigate the changing landscape of the electric car revolution. The electric vehicle crisis. The rise of electric vehicles was once seen as inevitable, but now the path forward is uncertain. With the policy shift away from globalization, the electric car industry is in danger of being thrown into turmoil. One of the biggest questions is whether Tesla, the largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the United States, can survive this massive shift. Under the previous administration, electric vehicle adoption was encouraged through federal tax credits and subsidies. However, with these incentives now at risk of being revoked, electric vehicles may become far more expensive for consumers. Without subsidies, even the most affordable electric cars may be out of reach for the average buyer. China, which dominates global electric vehicle production, may also play a crucial role in determining the future of the market. The country currently produces the majority of the world's lithium-ion batteries, a critical component in electric cars. If trade restrictions escalate, American automakers may struggle to secure the materials they need, setting back production and making it difficult to compete with Chinese manufacturers who continue to flood the market with affordable options. Tesla may not be the only company impacted. Established automakers like General Motors and Ford have been heavily investing in electric vehicle production, and without government support, their plans could stall. If costs continue to rise and consumers shy away from purchasing electric cars, the entire industry may be forced to shift gears. With so much uncertainty surrounding new car prices, more consumers may start looking elsewhere for their next vehicle. This leads to a surprising and unintended consequence: the growing demand for used cars. The used car boom. The high cost of new vehicles is expected to send buyers flocking to the used car market. As automakers struggle to adjust to the domestic production mandate, many consumers may find that buying new simply is not an option anymore. The result? A surge in demand for used cars, which could drive up prices dramatically. Dealerships specializing in pre-owned vehicles are likely to see a boom in business as buyers look for more affordable options. Automakers may also pivot by expanding their certified pre-owned programs. These programs offer gently used vehicles with manufacturer-backed warranties, allowing car companies to maintain customer loyalty while reducing dependency on new vehicle sales. Some manufacturers may even explore refurbished models as a way to keep inventory moving. Beyond used cars, leasing and ride-sharing could become even more popular. Consumers who are unwilling or unable to pay the rising costs of car ownership may turn to alternative solutions, such as long-term leasing or car subscription services. Major automakers could capitalize on this shift by offering more flexible leasing plans or partnering with ride-sharing platforms to make transportation more accessible. While the future of car ownership remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the automotive industry is on the brink of a major transformation. The combination of rising costs, shifting trade policies, and evolving consumer behavior is reshaping the market in ways that were once unimaginable. As the dust settles, automakers, policymakers, and consumers alike will have to navigate a new and unpredictable landscape, one where traditional models of car production and ownership may no longer apply. The unexpected consequence: The era of private car ownership in America is facing an unprecedented transformation, with vehicle prices soaring due to shifting manufacturing policies. Many Americans may be forced to reconsider their dependence on personal vehicles. The alternative? A surge in public transportation usage. Cities with well-established transit networks may see a revitalization of buses, subways, and commuter rail systems. Major metropolitan areas such as New York, Chicago, and San Francisco already boast extensive public transportation systems. But will they be able to handle a rapid influx of new riders? Cities that have long prioritized highway expansion over transit investment may struggle to adapt. Beyond urban centers, rural communities face an entirely different challenge. Public transportation options in many small towns are either non-existent or limited to infrequent bus routes. For these communities, the loss of affordable private vehicles could create severe economic consequences, further widening the divide between urban and rural America. As traditional car ownership declines, alternative mobility solutions such as electric bikes, scooters, and ride-sharing services are poised for rapid growth. Electric bicycles in particular have seen a meteoric rise in popularity, offering a cost-effective and flexible solution for short-distance travel. However, infrastructure remains a challenge. Will cities invest in expanding bike lanes and pedestrian-friendly zones? Or will these solutions remain out of reach for many? While some Americans may resist giving up their cars, economic realities will force difficult choices. This transition raises a pressing question. If Americans cannot afford new vehicles, can automakers innovate quickly enough to meet their needs? Automakers' last hope. Faced with rising costs and shifting consumer behaviors, automakers are in a race against time. Their only path forward may be embracing radical technological innovations that redefine the manufacturing process. One of the most promising advancements is the rise of three-dimensional printing in auto manufacturing. By allowing companies to produce parts on demand, three-dimensional printing could drastically reduce production costs and eliminate supply chain bottlenecks. Instead of relying on overseas suppliers, manufacturers could print essential components in-house, leading to a more agile and self-sufficient industry. Automation and artificial intelligence are also set to play a critical role in the future of car production. Assembly lines have been integrating robotics for decades, but new developments in machine learning could lead to fully autonomous factories. These high-tech facilities would rely on fewer human workers while maximizing efficiency. However, this raises concerns. Will automation ultimately lead to job losses? Or will it create new opportunities in tech-driven manufacturing roles? Beyond production, modular vehicle designs are gaining traction. Imagine a car that can be customized and upgraded with ease, extending its lifespan by decades instead of years. This approach could revolutionize the industry by shifting focus from mass production to sustainability and longevity. While these advancements offer hope, they require massive investment. Without government incentives or private sector backing, innovation alone may not be enough. Automakers know that policies can make or break their future, but there is still one possibility that no one seems to be talking about. Could Congress reverse this policy? Congress has the authority to challenge or modify this policy through legislation, oversight, and budget control. If lawmakers believe the mandate negatively impacts the economy, automakers, or consumers, they can introduce bills to amend or repeal the policy. Congress can also attach provisions to larger economic or trade bills, forcing a reconsideration of its impact. A single bill, strategically placed within a broader economic package, could shift the entire landscape. But legislation is just one tool. Congress controls the purse strings, and funding restrictions could make enforcement nearly impossible. Without financial support, regulatory agencies would struggle to uphold the mandate, leading to an unofficial rollback, even without a formal repeal. Meanwhile, congressional hearings could turn the tide, exposing economic fallout and bringing automakers, economists, and trade experts into the spotlight. This will not be a straightforward battle. Lawmakers from manufacturing-heavy states may rally behind the policy, touting its potential for job creation, while those focused on affordability and trade stability will push for changes. Intense lobbying efforts from automakers, dealerships, and foreign trade allies will add pressure, amplifying the urgency for congressional action. Ultimately, the future of this policy hinges on political momentum. If consumer costs skyrocket and the industry buckles under pressure, Congress may be forced to act swiftly. But if support holds firm, Businesses and consumers alike will need to prepare for a seismic shift in the automotive landscape. What should you do? With uncertainty surrounding the future of the auto industry, consumers must make strategic decisions to protect themselves from escalating prices and limited availability. The question on everyone's mind is simple. Should you buy now, wait, or explore alternatives? For those considering a purchase, time may be of the essence. As vehicle production costs continue to rise, so will sticker prices. If you find a car at a reasonable rate today, locking in that price may be a wise financial move. Leasing remains another option. While not the right choice for everyone, it could allow consumers to avoid long-term financial commitments while waiting for the market to stabilize. On the other hand, used vehicles will likely experience skyrocketing demand. If you already own a reliable car, holding on to it may be the best option. The resale market will become more competitive, making well-maintained vehicles even more valuable. Future-proofing your transportation choices may also mean looking beyond traditional car ownership. Ride-sharing, car subscription services, and electric bicycles are becoming increasingly viable alternatives. The key is to remain flexible and prepared for a rapidly evolving market. As the auto industry navigates one of the most significant upheavals in modern history, consumers, automakers, and policymakers alike must adapt to a future that looks vastly different from the past. The coming years will determine whether this policy drives America toward economic strength or forces the nation into an unprecedented transportation crisis. One thing is certain: the road ahead will not be smooth, but it will be transformative. America's auto future. Supporters argue that this initiative will lead to a manufacturing renaissance, revitalizing long-dormant production hubs and injecting new life into communities that once thrived on industrial labor. But can this policy sustain long-term employment, or is it an economic gamble with unpredictable consequences? For some industries, this shift represents an unparalleled opportunity. The steel and aluminum sectors, both crucial to automotive manufacturing, are expected to witness a surge in demand. Automation and artificial intelligence-based manufacturing firms will also benefit as automakers seek innovative ways to reduce production costs. However, industries reliant on global supply chains, such as foreign automakers and parts manufacturers, may struggle to adapt, potentially leading to widespread disruptions. Beyond the immediate impacts, this policy raises a broader question. Could this model be applied to other industries? If successful, similar mandates could emerge in technology, pharmaceuticals, and consumer electronics, reshaping the entire economic landscape. Whether this transformation leads to sustainable growth or economic stagnation depends on how automakers and policymakers navigate the evolving market conditions. The fate of the American automotive industry remains uncertain. While this policy presents a bold step toward industrial independence, it also comes with significant risks. The United States has the resources, expertise, and innovation capabilities to rebuild its manufacturing sector, but the transition will not be without growing pains. For automakers, the challenge will be balancing domestic production with cost efficiency. Companies that successfully adapt could emerge stronger than ever, but those unable to navigate the complexities of supply chain restructuring may struggle to remain competitive. Consumers will also need to adjust, whether through accepting higher car prices, turning to alternative transportation, or delaying vehicle purchases altogether. As the industry braces for change, the final question remains: will this decision ultimately strengthen the United States auto industry, or will it drive it toward an unforeseen collapse? Coming years will determine whether this policy marks the beginning of a new industrial era or a misguided gamble with unintended consequences. The global shift, winners, losers, and the future of car manufacturing. Economic shifts of this magnitude rarely occur in isolation. The global auto market is deeply interconnected, and the United States' move to restrict foreign manufactured vehicles will inevitably provoke reactions from its trading partners and competitors. Will other nations follow suit, adopting similar nationalistic manufacturing policies, or will they retaliate? China has aggressively expanded its automotive sector, becoming the largest producer of electric vehicles and internal combustion engine cars. This policy shift provides an opportunity for China to solidify its influence in international markets, particularly in nations that might face reduced access to United States-made cars. India and Europe are also poised to benefit as they continue to refine their own automotive industries while maintaining trade flexibility. Beyond competition, there is also the issue of trade relations. The United States' decision to prioritize domestic manufacturing could strain diplomatic ties, leading to tariff wars and retaliatory economic measures. European automakers that have invested heavily in the United States might reconsider their market strategies, and Mexico, one of the largest suppliers of auto parts, could experience severe economic setbacks. While these shifts may benefit competitors, they also present challenges. If the global supply chain fractures, the cost of vehicles worldwide could rise, and innovation may slow as companies redirect resources toward navigating protectionist policies rather than advancing technology. Domestically, the winners of this policy are clear. The steel and aluminum industries are positioned to thrive, as automakers will require more domestically sourced materials. Likewise, automation companies will gain from an increased reliance on artificial intelligence-driven manufacturing to offset rising labor costs. This could also lead to a boom in workforce training programs, as demand grows for highly skilled labor capable of operating complex manufacturing systems. However, not all stakeholders will benefit. Consumers may face the most immediate challenges as vehicle prices increase due to higher production costs. Foreign automakers that have long relied on the United States as a major market may be forced to either invest billions in domestic factories or withdraw, leading to a reduced selection of brands available to consumers. Environmental advocates have also raised concerns, arguing that a forced shift away from international cooperation could hinder progress in electric vehicle innovation and carbon emission reduction. As global markets react and industries reposition themselves, the ultimate question lingers. Will this mandate reshape the automotive world in favor of American manufacturing, or will it spark a long-term decline in innovation and affordability? Let's know what you think. Thanks for watching.